أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وإنا إليه راجعون Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. The title of this piece is 40 Traditions. These are 40 hadith taken from various sources. These have been described as somewhat weak in terms of the line of transmission, but the message contained within these 40 I do wish to communicate, inshallah. Hadith 1. Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu narrated that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The people are the dependents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the most beloved of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala is he or she who is the most helpful to His subhanahu wa ta'ala's dependents." Al-Bazir and Al-Tabarani in his Mujam. Hadith 2. Kathir ibn Abdul Allah ibn Umar ibn Auf al-Muzani heard from his father who heard from his father radiyallahu anhu that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created some of His subhanahu wa ta'ala slaves so that they should help people. He subhanahu wa ta'ala vowed not to punish them on the day of resurrection. They will be settled on pulpits made of light, and they will be talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while people are judged." Ibn Hibban in his Sahih. Hadith 3. Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu said that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Indeed, Allah has some creatures that He subhanahu wa ta'ala created in order to help people in their needs and to whom people turn in time of need. These creatures are secure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment tomorrow, i.e. the day of judgment." Abu Nu'aym and Al-Qudai and Musnad al-Shihab. Hadith number 4. It was narrated from Nafi from Abdul Allah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "For him who has fulfilled a halal need of his brother or sister believer, I, the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shall be standing at his or her scale on the day of judgment. If it does not tip in his or her favor, I'll intercede on his or her behalf." Abu Nu'aym in Al-Hilya. Hadith number 5. On the authority of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "He or she who moves for the aid and the benefit of his or her brother or sister will have the reward of the mujahideen in the way of Allah." Al-Aziz Muta'ali, close to what Abu Bakr al-Kharaiti related in Mukarram al-Akhlaq. Hadith number 6. On the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "He who has interceded between his or her brother or sister Muslim and a man of authority in order to benefit his or her brother or sister or to remove a difficulty for him or her, Allah will help him or her in passing the sirat on the day of pushing the feet away, i.e. the day of judgment." Abu Tahir al-Maqdisi in Ahadith al-Shihab. Hadith number 7. On the authority of Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "He or she who has fulfilled his or her brother's or sister's halal need is like the one who has worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Aziz al-Muta'ali, all of his or her life." Al-Bukhari and Al-Tariq al-Kabir. Hadith number 8. On the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever sees a fault in his or her brother or sister and conceals it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him or her enter paradise." Al-Tabarani. Hadith number 9. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who alleviates the suffering of a believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alleviate for his or her suffering, and he or she who conceals a fault of a believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will conceal a fault of his or hers. Allah always aids a person so long as that person aids his fellow man. Muslim Ibn Abi al-Dunya. Hadith number 10. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who fulfills a halal need of his or her Muslim brother or sister, it is as if he or she served Allah. And he or she who relieves a believer's distress, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make for him or her 2 torches of light, which will give light to a crowd so large that nobody knows its number except Allah. Al-Khairul Aziz, Al-Tabarani, and Al-Aswad. Hadith number 11. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who walks with his or her brother or sister in one of his or her affairs and advises him or her truthfully, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make between him or her and the fire 7 trenches. The distance between each trench will be as between the heavens and the earth. Abu Nu'aym and Ibn Abi al-Dunya. Hadith number 12. Maslama ibn Makhalid radiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who conceals the faults of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Aziz Muta'ali will conceal his or her faults in this world and in the hereafter. And he or she who eases the hardship of a distressed person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ease for him or her a hardship of the day of judgment. And he or she who helps a brother or sister in need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help him or her when he or she is in need. Al-Tabarani. Hadith number 13. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who alleviates the worldly suffering of his or her brother or sister believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alleviate his or her suffering on the day of resurrection. And he or she who conceals the faults of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will conceal his faults in this world and in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to the aid of a person so long as that person comes to the aid of his or her fellow man or woman. And he or she who goes along a course seeking knowledge, for him or her Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the path to paradise easy because of it. And if a group of people assemble in a mosque reciting and studying the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, tranquility will descend upon them and the angels will surround them. And he or she who is slow-paced in doing good deeds, his or her noble lineage will not give him or her priority in paradise. Muslim. Hadith number 14. Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it incumbent upon himself subhanahu wa ta'ala to give a servant in paradise to he or she who invites a Muslim to his or her house or provides for some of his or her halal needs. Yala al-Musili. Hadith number 15. Amr ibn Murrah radiyallahu anhu, who was a Sahaba of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu that he heard the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, any ruler or judge who shuts his or her door in the face of the needy, the poor and the destitute, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shut his subhanahu wa ta'ala door against him or her ruler and the judge in his or her need, poverty and destitution. Al-Tirmidhi, Ahmad and Abu Dawood. Hadith 16. Amr ibn Murrah radiyallahu anhu narrated that he visited Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu, and he, Muawiyah, said, what happy things brought you to us? Amir retorted, a hadith. I wanted to tell you, I heard the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, whoever Allah has entrusted in his or her hands anything of the Muslims' affairs, and he or she removes himself or herself from their need, destitution and poverty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Aziz Muta'ali will remove himself subhanahu wa ta'ala from that person's need, destitution and poverty on the day of resurrection. Amr said, then Muawiyah radhiyallahu anhu appointed a man to take care of the people's needs. Al-Tirmidhi, Ahmed and Abu Dawood. Hadith number 17. Abu Burda narrated from Abi Musa al-Ashari radhiyallahu anhu that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person in need comes to me, intercede in his behalf, so that you will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inspire his subhanahu wa ta'ala's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to give whatever judgment he subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith number 18. Anas ibn Malik radhiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who has comforted a heartbroken person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will record for him or her 70 good deeds. With one of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will set his or her life in this world and in the hereafter aright, and the rest will be used for his or her promotion to higher places in paradise. Abu Yala and Al-Bazar. Hadith number 19. Anas ibn Malik radhiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the comforter of the heartbroken. Al-Tirmidhi and Abu Yalla. Hadith number 20. Abdullah ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every good deed is a work of charity, and he or she who guides others to good deeds, he or she is at the same level with its doer, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the comforter of the heartbroken. Al-Daraqutni and Ibn Abi al-Dunya. Hadith number 21. Jabir ibn Abdullah radhiyallahu anhu narrated that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, among the requirements of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gaining his subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness are to make your Muslim brother or sister happy, and to feed his or her hunger, and to relieve his or her hardship. Al-Harith ibn Abi Usama in his Musnad. Hadith number 22. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who alleviates the worldly suffering of a believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alleviate his or her suffering on the day of resurrection. And he or she who conceals the faults of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will conceal his faults in this world and the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to the aid of a person so long as that person comes to the aid of his or her fellow man or woman. Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith number 23. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, a Muslim is the brother or sister of a Muslim. He or she never does him or her injustice, nor reviles him or her. He or she who fulfills the halal need of his or her brother or sister, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill his or her need. He or she who alleviates the worldly suffering of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alleviate his or her suffering on the day of resurrection. And he or she who conceals a fault of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will conceal his or her fault in this world and in the hereafter. Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith number 24. Malik ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who has comforted a heartbroken person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will record for him or her 73 forgivenesses, maghfirah. One of them will set all of his or her matters aright on the day of resurrection, as 72 are for the promotion on the day of resurrection. Al-Bazr and Abu Yalla. Hadith number 25. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, which deed is the best? He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, to make your Muslim brother happy, or to pay his debt, or to feed him bread. Al-Tabarani and Mukarram al-Aqraq. Hadith number 26. Samura ibn Jundub radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the highest form of charity is charity of the tongue. Someone asked, what is charity of the tongue? The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered, the intercession through which you help to free the captive, to prevent bloodshed, to bring forth the favor of your brother or sister, and to help to remove his or her hardships. Al-Tabarani in Mukarram al-Akhlaq. Hadith number 27. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if the Muslim visits his or her sick brother or sister, or has visited him or her in health for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Aziz Muta'ali will say, you are blessed in your way of walking, and you have gained your abode in paradise. Ibn Majah, Al-Tirmidhi, Abu Hatam, and Al-Baghawi. Hadith number 28. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the believer is a mirror of the believer, and the believer is the brother or sister of the believer. Wherever he or she meets him or her, he or she protects his or her property, and he or she defends him or her in his or her absence. Al-Tabarani. Hadith number 29. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, do you know what the lion says in his roaring? They replied, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his subhanahu wa ta'ala's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam know best. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, the lion says, Lord, do not let me attack any one of the people of good. Abu Mansur, Al-Dailami, and Al-Firdaus, and Al-Tabarani. Hadith number 30. Abdullah ibn Abi Bakr ibn Hazm narrated on the authority of his father and his grandfather that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who goes to visit a sick person will go walking in mercy until he or she sits down. Then he'll or she'll be covered with mercy. Then when he or she leaves, he or she will continue walking in it mercy until he or she returns to where he or she came from. Abu Dawood and Abu Hatim. Hadith 31. Anas radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who has reinforced the truth with his tongue, his reward will continue growing until the day of resurrection, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pay him or her his or her full reward. Al-Tabarani in Mukarram al-Akhlaq. Hadith number 32. Anas ibn Malik radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, by whose hand my soul is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not bestow his mercy except on a merciful person. We said, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of us are merciful. He replied, not only those who have mercy upon themselves and their families, but those who are merciful to all Muslims. Abu Yalla and Al-Tabrani. Hadith number 33. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he or she who forgives a Muslim's lapse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive his or her lapse on the day of resurrection. Al-Tabarani, Ibn Majah, Ibn Hibban, and Abu Dawood related its meaning. Hadith number 34. Abdullah ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Aziz Muta'ali said, I have predetermined good and evil. Happiness is for those whom I have made instruments for doing good, and woe to those in whose hands I put evil. Al-Tabarani. Hadith number 35. Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you are aware of my mercy, be merciful to my creatures. Ahmed ibn Adi in Al-Kamil. Hadith number 36. Abu Burda radhiyallahu anhu reported on the authority of his father and grandfather that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the example of the believers among themselves is like the example of a building. Each part supports the other part. Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith number 37. Abdullah ibn Abi Bakr ibn Hazim reported on the authority of his father and his grandfather radhiyallahu anhu that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, any Muslim who consoles his brother or sister Muslim about a mishap, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will glorify him or her with garments of honor from the garments of the day of resurrection. Al-Bayhaqi. Hadith number 38. Al-Darda radhiyallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Shall I inform you about a rank superior to the rank of fasting, praying, and charity?" They said, "Yes." Rasulullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "It is a yet superior rank to strengthen friendly relationships and make peace between Muslims. To disturb the peace between Muslims is to kill the faith." Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 39. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib reported on the authority of Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "A herald will call on the day of resurrection. Nobody raises up on this day except the person who did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a favor. All creatures will say, 'Glory to thee, the favor is thine.' The herald will repeat that a few times. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mutabarak muta'ali will say, 'It is he or she who forgave when he or she had the upper hand.'" Abu Mansur al-Dailami in Musnad al-Firdaus. Hadith number 40. Abdullah ibn Umar radhiyallahu anhu reported that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, "What kind of person do you love most?" He said, "I love the people who are the most helpful to other people." Then he was asked, "What deed is best?" He replied, "Making a believer happy." Then he was asked, "O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what makes a believer happy?" He answered, "Feeding his hunger, relieving his distress, and paying his debt." He who supports his brother in need has done a deed equal to fasting and worshipping a month. He or she who stands by a wronged person to assist him or her, Allah will fasten his or her feet on a day when feet are slippery. He or she who controls his or her anger, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will conceal his or her faults. Indeed, bad temper damages the good deed as the vinegar damages the honey. Muhammad ibn Faruz al-Asqalani. These are excerpts from Al-Mundhiri's 40 Traditions, rendered into English by Dr. Asad in Busul. Produced by Islamic Music and Animation by Brother Muhakim Yu Abdullah, myself. Jazakumullahu khairan.